talent, doing some things that I know you haven't heard before. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing.
Un plato y un ingrediente. El ingrediente la trufa y el plato sodi son símbolos de lujo.
De lujo.
Soy Avinnash Vishaal. It's Johnson Ebenezer.
1 minute. One minute. You're back to India.
Oh,
Yeah. You're still in Spain, is it? See, first of all, congratulations. And congratulations on getting this for us to India.
sure.
So it means a lot to us, at least for the people who have not come so much with truffle, to come back to this award, that to a People's Choice Award, which means you have won hearts there. It means a lot. It means a lot to India and the way how we cook food over here.
Let's start it off now. Yeah, so I think I'll start with how I got to know about what this was and how this all started. Basically, a text down you, and you told me, no, this was happening, and I shipped Obico Flora. And I go on, and then I conceive a dish, and we'll get to more about the dish a little later. But then I conceive a dish, and I send photos and a recipe of the dish, which I'll have to send to the organizers, and it's just a jury that they've used this and shortlists amongst many other applicants from other countries around the world. And those shortlisted applicants would eventually go on into the final. I, throughout my experience, haven't worked extensively with truffles, although I've been around quite a lot. My perception was pretty vague, not entirely sure how we can fully exploit the potential of truffles. But then this experience was something that I would say are the turning points with how you can see truffles and the possibilities, different ingredients that can be paired with. That's something I saw with all the other, contestants as we went through the competition. So yeah, this competition was a little bit different. The guy is East Spain. I follow them, and they do this particular thing called the tapas competition. Yeah, and it's renowned worldwide as well. And a lot of great chefs go there, and they do this, in this part of the world. And I've been following them since then. And when this particular thing popped up on my feed, I said, let me just put it out there to the team Famlor and see who all is interested. And I think there's these 5 or 6 guys who are interested, who all came up with their own little recipes. And you also worked with the recipe as well. You all came up with the recipes. But the basic things when you go for these competitions is basically to see and understand those results. Yeah, more than results, to understand those rules, the nuances, the results, the nuances of getting you those results. Yeah. So it's basically you have to understand those rules. One of those particular rule was, it said that you are going to work with a local restaurant there. Yeah. And I understand that you have never worked with, not extensively worked with truffles. We have all worked with truffles. Truffles has been those luxurious ingredients all through our life. And somewhere down the line, we used to say, wow, that's a really great truffle. And somewhere we just have to lie at sometimes, because we have spent so much money on a particular truffle. And then we lie at times and just, take it up and take it up, it's not higher and notch, and then say this is great, but then I thought this would be much more better to give a deeper understanding if you go to the source and identify these ingredients, and then come back with a little bit more knowledge, you could share. And so with every one of them, I think it was Yash, even what's his name, Rahul, all these guys came up with recipes, and everybody has their small little stories as well, why they came up with these recipes. Your recipe was simpler because you did understand the nuances of how and the rules, conditions under which you had to perform during the competition. So we had to take a lot of those things under consideration going into the application process. I think that's basically what's needed for this younger generation as well. Like when you actually go into a competition, we all go in this with this pride. We all want to be the champ. Yeah. We all want to win it. Yeah. But we fail to understand that going and taking part in that itself is a journey. It's a very good experience. Yeah. Actually circling back to what I actually said about my experience with truffle, my first ever experience of seeing truffles, like, these were the Perigord truffles that I used to see at my during my time at Franzén and Stockholm, Sweden, and they had this dish called the French toast, which is kind of a signature now and one of the most imitated dishes various restaurants. Then I think we have also done one particular we did do that, and I do remember receiving those truffles early on in the morning, and then these truffles would either come from Tasmania, sometimes Perigord, and Tasmanian truffles. Yes, okay. And they would also come in from Perigord, obviously. Italy, just varies depending on how how and where they get it from time to time, and also the season. So going back to this many years later, this experience really amplified something that I traced back to that time, and essentially the days leading up to the competition was basically about understanding the city, and that city is, I think, the second most prominent producer of truffles in Spain and also in the world. The first and the most in the world is actually written in. I'll probably come back to it, which is very closer. It's near Toledo, if I'm not wrong. But they are the second most producer in Spain, but there is just a really, really quaint town. It was freezing cold, like about 4 degrees. But which part of Spain was this held? This was held in a town called Soria. And, like how we have states in India, they have provinces, and it's a province of Castilla y León. And it's basically a government initiative to kind of promote truffles as a product, So it was a initiative amongst many other organizations, like the tourism board, the local municipal board, the government of Spain, just too many people being very invested in promoting their culture and truffles as their cultural identity. So they did that. They wanted to have different participants from different countries to see how the potential of a truffle can be pushed to with different ingredients. There were contestants from Thailand, USA, Singapore, India, Brazil, Portugal, Austria, Spain, obviously. But as I said, except for Thailand, when Thailand has a really great international clientele or an international organization, and I think some of the best restaurants around the world are in Thailand also. Absolutely. So Thailand and all these places have more influx of truffle. Yeah. There's a guy from India. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So then a guy from India. So it was really nice to see how your dish, got landed up there and got picked as well, and very cleanly, I would say that genuinely, I would say that you were able to, grasp the essence of bringing the truffles, actual need out. Like you had something which was a very subtle sauce, if I may say, you had a very subtle sauce, and then you had, you had things going on in there, which would just amplify what a truffle for a normal person, a layman from India would want to perceive truffle as, and introduce it in a very palatable way to a person who has never been to India, never mind, south of India, with very unfamiliar flavors, and try to bridge a connection between both cultures and flavors as well. So the precursor to this competition was basically how you use the truffle itself as an ingredient, and you were not allowed to use any other truffle products like oils and pastes and whatnot. You cannot use that. You basically have to use the raw truffles and finish a dish in 1 hour for 14 people. And the jury over here was basically a mix of chef, food critics, journalists, and also actually there were also a couple of just locals, like I'll say, just locals from around the city who just were part of the jury. So this award was basically a general consensus of who they thought was a more cohesive. Yeah. Also at the same time, something that really caught their eyes was there obviously were other winners. It's basically to say that I can never imagine Indians using truffles rather than putting inside a naan or something like that. Exactly. You never know. It could be like something which is like a mushroom naan. Yeah, you just take out the mushroom, put truffles. If you have truffles, then if your truffles are really good, that makes sense. And the dish that I did for the competition was basically a take on sodi. So I did a sodi. It was not a take, but an actual sodi, which is a stew from the southern part of India and Tamil Nadu. And it's basically a dish that is given to the groom during the weddings as kind of like an offering to the groom. And it's very special and it's done for the occasion. And I think Indian weddings throughout are very luxury oriented and are very, very...
What about the Mapla Sodi?
The Mapla Sodi, yes. The Mapla Sodi. And Indian weddings in essence are very, very, high stake, very luxurious, and the truffle kind of embodies the same values of being luxurious and very sought after. So
if you get a Spanish wife, then
yeah, it's too late for that. Yeah, it's too late for that. Okay. Yeah, I hope it's too late for that too. It definitely is too late for that. Okay. So yeah, I know you're watching. So yeah. See, let's talk about this one, Ted. And let's talk about this deep dive into how the days when you went for truffle hunting. You told me stories about the day how these people love their dogs. They asked them to go look for the truffles, and when they came back, they gave them some gifts or treats. Yes, treats. So yeah, that sounded like a really good story of truffle hunting. So how does that start with? So the thing about truffles and selling truffles and getting them to the final customer is very straightforward. There's no middleman here. It's rather a small family or just one person who does the hunting also sells it. So all proceeds go to the person whoever grew that. So there's no trader or there's no a middleman trying to sell this to the customer, the final end customer.
Right.
And so how this all started was basically we had a couple of days ago before the competition, I had gone to a truffle hunt, and we started at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was super freezy and very windy. And we went to a place which was kind of like a valley with really small hills and slopes here and there. And we went there, we met a couple, very sweet couple, and they kind of walked us through how it all starts. So how the process of truffle that we start was something very new to me. I initially thought truffles were always wild. And there's something you just find and just grows there out there. But then it turns out in order to meet the increasing demand for these truffles, they plant oak trees, and by planting the oak trees, they start with inoculating the truffle spores. So the truffles that we get in that region is the tuberous melanosporum, which is also a variety of the Perigord truffle, and they inoculate the saplings of the oak trees with the spores. And then once the spores have been inoculated, they plant it in a piece of land, and that takes about years to grow. And what we saw eventually was that those saplings, which eventually grow into trees, were a result of about 7 to 8 years. 7 to 8 years to grow a tree, and then there is no guarantee that you will actually get a truffle out of it because it varies on a lot of external conditions.
So the truffles are not on the tree.
No, truffles are not on the tree. They grow deep down the roots. and then, they grow under the soil. And once you've taken them out of the soil, you can't sit them back thinking they will, continue to grow. Because once you've taken it,
You're telling me that they inoculate those oak trees.
the oak trees.
And they take those oak trees and they plant it somewhere.
Yes.
And then, because of nature, it just spreads it out. And these spores go and hide in the soil.
Yeah.
And then they start growing.
Yes. And then they just have their own way of like growing around the land.
Okay.
It's not like you will find a truffle right close to the tree because the roots are much more stronger there. It's just really random.
So it is with the accordance to the nature as well, how these spores get, transferred to the land.
Absolutely.
Maybe it could be a bee, or maybe it could be a butterfly, or it could be just the spores which are just thrown out by the wind, and then it goes and gets settled somewhere down, and then it grows.
It is just a work of nature. Honestly, like there is no, even, method on how it grows. It's a game of chance when you hunt for truffles. So these spokes wait. It's a waiting game. It's most of the time is just like, waiting and like hoping for the best. And depending on nature to just give you the product. And there is no means of enforcing something on the tree, or probably even watering it, hoping that it grows. There's nothing like that. It's all nature. It's hoping that, you don't have rodents like rats or squirrels taking and, fighting.
They do have a little bit of a protection around that particular.
They do have a fenced area, but there isn't.
But that is, you can actually do. But that is actually the control. That is actually the control and protect this thing to happen.
Yes. So they do have a dog, and the dog was called Cheeky, a very, very, very cute dog. Like, it was just really very hyper.
Okay.
And so the way it goes is, the gentleman who was doing it, he has a dog and he just, unleashes it.
Okay.
Into the, this thing, and then it's basically trained for. Yeah. So it goes in, and it starts smelling the ground, and the male starts. It's just trained to like dig up, and its nose is trained to like detect the smell of truffles, and it just keeps digging. And once it digs, they know that there's a truffle there.
Okay.
And then the other person, the gentleman takes a shovel.
Okay.
He takes a shovel and then he digs up the truffle.
Okay.
And he has to be very gentle because the shovel shouldn't puncture the truffle as he digs it, because if he does that, it's going to decrease the value of the truffle.
Oh, okay.
So he does it and does that, and along the way, with every truffle, the dog gets a treat.
Oh, okay.
And
so he wants to find
more. It's more motivation for the dog than for the gentleman, because the dog just gets treat every 30 seconds, depending on how we find that.
Yeah.
How hard he or she works in. So. And also, having said that, the human is also dependent on the dog. He's literally talking to the dog. Okay, so keep digging. But you find it, let's keep going. Like, it kind of motivates the dog. It's like a very symbiotic relationship for the dog and the dog's treat, the dog and the man's treat. The man's treat. Yeah. So the man's treat is the truffle. The dog's treat is the treat. So it was very eye-catching, and I realized why truffles are actually so expensive and very sought after, because once we finished the hunt, we went to the storeroom where the truffles are kept, and I found different grades. There's like, a potato-sized truffle, and then there's like
the thing when you
potato-sized.
you actually brought it back. When you made me smell the first truffle, that's a truffle which it just went into my nose and it went into my mind there, like out from my brain. And that's when I thought this is a really good truffle. And that put the whole conversation about truffles are, overrated and things like that. It puts rest into my heart. It just put a rest into my heart. And then I made an omelette also the other day, my kids, and we made a pasta. I'd saved a pasta for 15 years, which was a squidding pasta, which I had picked it up in Spain. Not in Spain. It was in Italy. I picked up, like a spaghetti which was made in squid pasta like 15 years ago, during Disney times, I think, yeah. So I made this truffle and that pasta. So it was really good. It was really, really good. But yeah, the moment when I took it and created it, it was something special. Yeah, it was something special. So yeah, congratulations again, the People's Chap. Thank you for giving this, thank you for opening my eyes as well. But this is great. This is great. I hope a lot more people, a lot more young chefs like you sign up for these competitions in future,
and go try this out. This is an experience you must have had. But sometimes, yeah, I think there's something that I think every young chef to should be going after, not with the view of actually winning. Yeah, winning is very good. It's a very good feeling. But I think it's about the process that you go through as you do these things. You just kind of become a very informed person about a lot of things, and it just helps you in the long picture. And the other thing, I'll be very honest with you, it's the connections which you make when you go for these competitions. Like today, we did post one little picture of you on Famlo's Instagram. Immediately, this person who was somewhere else in some other part of the world who was taking part with you in this particular competition shares it. Yes, that's what we look for. That's what it's a beautiful it's something which you can build over. Like tomorrow when you're going to look back and see what have I done going for this competition. It's these connections which you make. Yes, yeah. So with that, we come close to this particular chapter. The next one, we are going to talk a little bit more about yeah, go ahead. Kangaroo. Okay, kangaroo. Yeah, we're going to talk about kangaroo. We'll have one more person who came with me to Sydney, where it was a Willy Wonka's kitchen called Nell. More about that on the next episode. Ciao.